Good morning.
We'd like to welcome you to the BmoreNews Morning Show. My name's Donnie Glover, and I work for Marsha Jews.
That's a lie. Don't even believe it. How's everybody? Good morning, everybody. Listen, we're really getting excited because we're getting awfully close to the Black Engineer of the Year Awards Conference. Is coming up February the 11th through the 13th, and it's all virtual. There are three things that are very exciting that I want you to take note. The HBCU Village, the K through 12 Village, and the Interview Village, and the HBCU Reunion. And for further information to register and learn how you can be interviewed for jobs in STEM, go to BEYA.org. That's BEYA.org. And this conference has been going on for 35 years, and we're very excited. And the headquarters are based right here in Baltimore. So be sure to go to BEYA.org, learn about the HBCU Village, the K through 12 Village, and the Interview Village, as well as the HBCU Reunion. BEYA.org. Thank you.
So, Marsha, how long have you been affiliated with BEYA?
Since like 90 something, 95, 96, something like that. And it's just been continual. The conference is really powerful. Lloyd Austin, our new defense secretary, I'm so excited. General Austin was part of the program that they have called Stars and Stripes. But there's so many people that we have that BEYA has recognized. They've recognized senior executives. Stephanie Hill, who's from Baltimore, was Black Engineer of the Year. They have several awards throughout the whole weekend, from the deans to modern day technologists. All through that whole weekend, there are the most incredible people who look just like us, who are doing amazing things all over the world, and it's really powerful. By the time I leave, I cry the whole time that I'm there, because it's so powerful, and you hear everybody's stories and what they've done to get to where they are. It's amazing. All through that whole weekend, there are the most incredible people. We have some technical issues.
No, you're doing just fine.
Okay.
Keep going.
BEYA.org is really powerful. And while it may be a virtual program this year, they have found the best technology in the world and all the different platforms where you will still be able to have an amazing experience. So I would suggest that you go and learn about all of these people. Make sure your children are involved and they're observing this. I don't know where else you would find such a collection of African-American men and women and young people who are in STEM, who are in one place at least once or twice a year.
How many young people tend to come?
Oh, well, every HBCU sends a bus or puts kids on planes that are in STEM to fly them in or bus them in to attend. And then they have the K through 12 program. So then all of the kids that are in the greater area of wherever the conference is being held, because it's been in Philadelphia, it's been in Baltimore, it's been in Detroit, and they'll bring people in. So we'll see now not Detroit, in Washington, D.C. So at some point in the next couple of years, once everything is all settled, they'll be back in Baltimore. We're really excited about that. But young people are encouraged because we want them to see. Plus, if you go up to BEYA.org, you might want to also look and make a subscription to the Black Engineer and Information Technology magazine and get a subscription. And so you can read about these people in your homes. And I just think the magazine is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about Tyrone Taybourne.
Dr. Tyrone Taybourne is amazing. And he was at Cornell University and started a publication called Umoja Sasha. And from there, it became the Black Engineer of the Black engineer. And in partnership, he met Dean Deloach, Eugene Deloach, who was the engineering dean out at Morgan State University. He's retired now, but he's still on campus. And he helped work with Tyrone to do that. And then while I was there, it became the Black Engineer and Information Technology magazine. And we added that on because the IT part came out so strong during that era.
Tyrone Taybourne is from Baltimore?
He's originally, I don't know if he was born in Chicago or
Yeah,
LA.
he ain't from Baltimore. He was born somewhere else.
No, he came from either Chicago or LA. And I don't remember which one where he was born, but I know he lived in both of them before he came to Baltimore. And I guess when he went to Cornell and then came down here. But he's been very involved. He's a regent on Morgan State University's board of directors. He's written books with all kinds of people. He's a brilliant guy, has his PhD. But also, he's a caring person. He's really interested in people who look like us, making certain that they're in line to receive those jobs, that they're prepared in order to get to the positions that are available. So people who look like us are part of the next century.
You know what I'm most proud about Dr. Taybourne?
What's that?
He understands business and he understands media. So, you know, to have him as a mentor, a big brother, a supporter, priceless.
Yes. And you know what's really beautiful? They have Bea TV as well. So you can go on to their YouTube channel and see a lot of, a lot of what I'm talking about. And the website, the bea.org is one website, but they also have the Women of Color Technology Awards Conference that's in October. But if you go to, and it's Career Communications Group, that is the parent company. So if you go up to ccgmag.com, you can learn more about, they also have a foundation called the Foundation for Educational Development. And so you can learn about their technology awareness programs and the other programs that they have for young people.
Now here's my question. There's also NSBE.
At the National Society of Black Engineers.
Now that's not affiliated with Dr. Taybourne's group officially.
No, it is its own organization. It's whatever the nonprofit is, and they're primarily students or former students.
But they always at Bea.
Lord, everybody come to Bea. Bea is a place to be, and it's huge. So if you've ever been to the Sheraton Washington Hotel in Washington, D.C., it fills up all three of those exhibit halls. And what's huge about that, and I've been in that exhibit hall for 40-something years. What's important about the Bea Career Fair, when it's live, they actually have walk-in set up conversations for interviews. So they're interviewing right on the job. So when you come there, you can talk and meet people, but you can be interviewed. You can take your resume, your bio, whatever, and have conversations with representatives right there on the floor, which is powerful. And not many organizations have that capability.
Do you see this attention deficit guy right here?
I know he just doing, but that's what Terence does. He's multitasking. Go ahead. Anyway, let me just close out.
Hey, peace family, good morning. You got business owners pulling up on you and they want to know what's going on in the city. Guess where I gotta go? I gotta try to help them out and figure out what's going on. That's what that was. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday.
Good morning.
What's up, T Sizzle?
How you doing, Mr. Donnie Glover?
We doing good, man. Where you been at?
Man, working hard. I'm trying to get somewhere quiet. Working hard on this Terraloft Consulting. You know, a lot of people on this second PPP and EIDL, they want to know what's going on. And I'm trying to encourage everybody to make sure that we get our piece. If you're going to pay it back, why not get some? All right? And giving them some ideas what to do when they do get a little bit of funding. You know, how to set up a new set of how you're going to run your business, because everything is new now, you know?
So what has changed for you?
We're putting together a relationship with the Hyatt Regency in downtown Baltimore. We have the Bounce Back Bazaar that's coming back up. All right, to build it back up for
Slow
business
down,
to really
slow down,
get themselves together.
slow down.
Guess what? In 2020, everybody took a hit. All right, everybody has this COVID fatigue right now. All right, everybody's been tired. Guess what? Enough. We're encouraging people to get up off their knees. We're showing them how to get on their feet right now and really how to march forward. Okay, because COVID it's not going anywhere no time soon. So why wait? We didn't wait to start our businesses. So why are we going to wait to get right?
Okay, so you started Terra Loft Consulting in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, well, you know what? I put a name on it in the middle of the pandemic, but I've been doing it for over 20 years on 25th and St. Paul here. You figure in that time, I've helped mentor out of my space, maybe about 25 or 30 small Black businesses, helping them in all facets from business strategies to structure and community, you know, always with a holistic type hand.
Hey, Terrence. So when you say a holistic type hand, what does that mean to you?
It means that, guess what? You're definitely choosing kind of like people over profit. You know, certain things that. Hold on 1 second. I just need to transition one.
All right. Quebec, good morning.
It's people over profit. You know, certain things that people get nervous with. You know, I try to explain to
Like
a lot of
what?
people.
What do you mean? Wait. What do people get nervous with?
Right.
What do people get nervous with? What does
They
that
get
mean?
nervous to the point that they don't know if they do everything the right way, what's going to be the end result. They focus on the money at the beginning. Money is not it at the beginning. If you set up your proper business structure and you really figure out what's going on, okay, and you're consistent, guess what's going to happen? Money, okay?
But when you say you got to figure out what's going on, are you helping them develop a strategic plan, or
That's
do
what
they
we're
come in?
doing. We're showing you how, because the story of a small business is normally you start your small business with about $1,500, okay? And I'm gonna tell just about everybody's story I know. All right, all in this one sentence. You start with, hey, peace, chef, $1,500. All right, a couple of bad credit cards,
Did you
halfway
say
credit
bad credit
cards,
card? Did you say bad credit card?
couple of halfway credit cards, and a great idea. That's how you started your business.
I understand.
You know, and
And
then
make it
you know,
happen.
we keep it to ourselves because we know that, you know, sometimes even though people love us, they might assassinate your dream because that's what society is
What
kind
does
of
that
like trained
mean?
them to do. They don't do it intentionally, and they do it with love. Oh, baby, you know
Assassinate.
you need 6
He's
months of
talking about how
expenses.
people will discourage you. Unfortunately, when they see that you're doing something different and they're not familiar with it, they don't always embrace it and encourage you. So I feel that, absolutely. But what are you talking about, Terrence? When you say holistic, what are the different aspects of business that you're identifying with your clients that are going to be holistic? And you transitioning, I see you. Once he gets settled,
we can't hear you. We can't hear you yet.
Yeah.
We still can't hear you yet.
Terrence, once your video, your sound comes back in, okay. So I can only imagine that he's talking about, you know, their daily habits and routines. Of course, he's talking about money to start with, and every business, you know, it's only a business if you're making money. Otherwise, it's a hobby.
No question. That's absolutely correct. Yeah. And you have to really be cognizant of that. And I think that one of the things that he said that's really important is the strategic plan.
Absolutely.
And how you do it and how you manage that money once you get it. So that's a whole nother thing where, especially small businesses, you're trying to figure it all out. And you have a little bit here, but you still got to pay the bills. How are you going to pay the bills? Where does that money go? How do you do the allocation? I know that that's your finance. You're that finance woman. How do small businesses get into a place where they have, let's use the number he said, $1,500. This is how you're going to start it. But what else do you need as you go along that path?
Yeah, so he mentioned a couple of very good things in what you're saying. When you start a business, you have to have money, obviously, to invest in the business to grow. But you got to put your plan together, your strategic plan together in advance. If you don't know what you're going to do with $1,500 before you get it, once you get it, it's going to be gone before you get to do anything with it. Mm-hmm. And so that's the key, is to plan in advance. So right now he's, absolutely, pertinent as far as making the suggestion that we go ahead and plan in advance. Those people who have business ideas, we're talking about being able to get a stimulus check for $2,000. What are you going to do with that $2,000? Because it can real quick go to food and rent and bills for the house. But if you have a business idea or project that would be able to generate that kind of income or that revenue so that you would be able to sustain your basic needs, then you want to make sure that you've got a plan for investing that money before it's spent on those basic needs. Because when you put it into those basic needs, it's not going to come back to you. When you put it into your business, then you have an opportunity for the return on investment, and that's where you make your money grow. So what
but now you're talking about sales. But now you're talking about you've got to sell something to get money.
Yeah,
how do you
always selling something in business? Whether you're doing consulting or you've got a product or you've got a service, you're always going to be selling something. There's got to be an exchange or transaction in your business in order for it to be a business. If you're not selling something, then your business is a hobby.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting, but true. You better have the cash rules, right?
And the thing is, being able to understand that sometimes you have to have a cash flow in advance of being able to earn revenue through your business. Okay. So that's why many people work up.
Mr. Terence.
Yes, sir. I was just trying to find me a good signal space. I dropped you guys for a second.
Ladies, I want you to understand that this is the life of an entrepreneur. Here we had him scheduled for an interview, but he has a million jobs. He's like a Jamaican. He has 14 jobs, man. 14 jobs.
I need one more.
Okay, T says, we're trying to do this interview. Can you work with us here?
Yeah, I'm making it to my office, Donnie, right now. That's what I was telling the sisters. And then all of a sudden, my phone went dead. I just want to get to my desk and sit down. My sister's getting ready to come in the lobby. I just want to get to my office and sit down, and then I can finish this. And thank everybody for being patient. But this is what the real world is.
Michael Johnson says good morning to all.
Yo, Michael Johnson.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Whoa. There you go.
All right, yes, Mr. Sizzle, the whole world is watching you.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about TLC Consulting.
Now, TLC Consulting is something that they mentioned that came up in the COVID, but in reality, it's something I've been doing for over 20 years. Just to catch up, I don't know where we dropped off before.
How many businesses are in your space?
Right now, I have 4 businesses.
And you've had as many as how many at one time?
What do you mean? I have 5, as many as 5. I have 1 space that is vacant now.
So you have space available?
No, it's my next venture. It's called The Roots. It's going to be an actual community market, because even though you have Safeway here, this is still a food desert. In reference to pricing, in reference to quality, in reference to access. Okay, too many times I've gotten in line and I've seen people on the first of the month when they have that SNAP card and they got a bunch of pizzas and TV dinners. And then the produce is priced to the point where they really can't afford it. And guess what? Sometimes we don't even know what to do with it because we've lost that generation of taking care of ourselves, being able to cook and being creative. So what The Roots is, it's a new concept, but an old concept. We'll have the packaged meals with the first of the month. We've already applied for our SNAP. Okay. You'll be able to buy food for your family, but then you'll be able to log on to our website and you'll be able to learn how to cook with it. You feel me? So if you have eggplant or yams, there might be 2 or 3 different restaurants, and we'll have local people that are showing you great recipes and ideas for healthy food.
So, Terence, you deal with a lot of people, and this has nothing to do with Terra Loft Consulting per se, but I wanted to ask you, of the brothers that come through your restaurant, I've seen you on countless occasions providing counseling.
Yo, that's a part of our tribe. I guess in my community, I'm referred to as a Baba. I mean, I didn't ask for it. It just kind of happens, and you're humbled about it. The one thing that I've always believed that, and that I've learned from my parents, is the universe is balance. Okay, that the energy that you put out, guess what? It comes back. So
take me back about 3 years, maybe 4. I think it was you. I rode with you and Darren Muhammad over here to Sandtown, and a businessman had been killed. And I saw you and Darren taking food to the repast. Do you remember that situation?
A lot of repasts, a lot of people pass.
But this was a young businessman, and he was known for giving back. It was over around Lafayette Avenue.
Oh, yo, I'm looking at him right now, bro. I'm looking at him right now. Hold up.
This was one of the most fascinating stories.
Steve Foreman. That's him. You see it? Can you see it? That's
What's
him.
his name? What's his name again?
Stephen Foreman.
Steve Foreman.
Steve Foreman. I met so many awesome people with this brother, and he is that story of Baltimore. He is part of that entrepreneurial hub that started on one side of the street, ended up on the other, but didn't just stay there by himself. He taught so many, he encouraged so many, and he had a love for his city and for his community and for his people. And I remember the first time that I met him, I just opened up Terra Cafe, and he came over. He said, "Man, I'm at the beach. Somebody told me that this is a black restaurant." I was like, "Yeah, it's a black restaurant." He says, "The owner." I said, "I'm the owner." He sat down. We chopped it up for about 15 minutes. I think on Facebook we had about maybe 25 or 30 people that had liked us up and stuff. And I told him my mission statement, that this was a community business, that I was going to share with people how to eat healthy without sacrificing taste, that I was going to provide an environment where you saw Black art and Black music, and you knew just how great Black people are. And he said, "Hold on." And he got on Facebook, did 1, 2, 3, whip, whip, whip. And I think that within 24 hours, we had about maybe 2,000 followers at that point. And it never stopped. And
wow.
That's what it's about. Now, that was a real fallen soldier. That's a real warrior. And I mean, I could speak to so many people that he burned. Huh?
You feeling this, Marsha? The guy, Steve Foreman, he says, got on the Facebook, and in 24 hours, he had 2,000 followers. I'll never forget that day.
And you know what? We talked about that. That's social capital. That's what we have, that they keep coming to our community and stealing. Okay? All right? People keep trying to figure out what the hell, how to make Black people great. Give us what our due is and get out the way.
Or how about stop attacking us?
Huh?
How about just stop attacking us?
No, give us what we do.
Terence,
give us what our due is.
Terence,
get out the way.
Terence, I'm going to be raw. You don't know this is coming, but I remember the city of Baltimore. I think Sticky Fingers was the mayor. And they closed.
Who are you talking about?
They messed with you because your refrigerator was like 3 degrees off.
No, 2. And you know what? She came back. Hey, Donnie, I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell a story because I'm gonna tell you what happens. This is where you have a challenge when you challenge society, when you challenge them. All right. Came in during lunchtime, was in my place the week before for 8 hours. A health department inspection for 8 hours. and I study because I know that they're coming. That's all entrepreneurs listeners today, please get you an industry mentor. Know your business. Know your rights. When they come and they try to roll on you, stand on your feet and roll back. Okay? She couldn't do it 8 hours. I had nothing because I run a real good business. I run an awesome business. And I know you coming at me.
Right.
Okay?
So
Came
you're
back the
prepared.
next day, 6 hours. The next day, 6 hours. All right? Couldn't do nothing. Still. Came back, Pastor Lee Michael, came back 4 days later. Pastor Lee Michael was filming me. She saw the equipment, the lights, hauled ass. Got out of there. Came back 3 days later, and within 6 minutes, she said I had to close.
What?
You heard what I just said to you?
After all that?
What I just say to you? 6 minutes.
And that was under
Black
two.
city with a plethora of black elected officials. And I bet you, well, I know too much.
Well, you know what? I did what I did. I didn't even, I made my PSA. Okay? I called and got a refrigeration company to come out and certify all my equipment.
Good.
To deem that all of it was working properly.
Right.
That means that I fall within the guidelines of the health department 10 times over. If you open up a refrigerator door, you're going to lose temperature. The health department gives you such amount of time for it to go back in temperature. And if you can't put that product back in temperature, they give you the ability to change the product. I got none of that.
So that's a normal protocol.
It's the normal protocol. She didn't even follow normal protocol.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To close a business, okay?
Meanwhile, they got rats. Meanwhile,
and put 10 people out. And put 10 people out.
Huh? Well, you had customers. You had customers in there.
I had customers in there. Lunchtime. You come at lunchtime.
Meanwhile, they got rats walking on cakes down Lexington Market.
And then you want to know what? That was the craziest thing, because a few weeks later that came up, and they weren't treated completely different. Normally, if they close the restaurant, they make it a pain in the ass. They make it so it takes you 2, 3, 4 days to open back up over nothing. Okay? I understand extreme cases, and I definitely follow the rules because that's the only guidelines we have. But there are certain things in reference to how you have to handle our business in our community. Because if they were downtown in a big corporate place, they would take their time and they would talk nicely and whatever. When they come in our business, they bum rush us. Okay? Like I said, I had an inspector come when we were just cleaning, and we told them we were closed. I don't know why they're on the street right now and all of the COVID, except for just to check and make sure. But I'm going to tell you what, that one inspector, I asked for her never to come to my space again, and that's who showed up at my door.
So
I have instruction, if she comes, she's not allowed in my place, and I'll deal with it later because I know that she has no love for me or my community.
So bring me back to COVID. How have you been able to navigate amidst the pandemic?
With the hand of God. We've been able to actually make it through because of our community and our customer base. I want to say thank you for all of them first. I want to say thank you for all of them that and guess what? And it's just not here, man. You know what I mean? Over this COVID, I've definitely been trying to be a voice for small business because it's no fun being on the top by yourself. Okay. And we're the largest full service Black restaurant in Baltimore City. Okay. So we have an accountability for our community. So that's what we've been basically doing. I mean, we've been helping out where we can. Okay. As I pull my staff together, I have 24 employees. I only had to furlough about maybe 4. Okay. And I told them that, you know what I mean? The loaf was going to get smaller, but I was going to make sure that everybody got a slice. And I think that's the commitment that all small Black businesses have done at the beginning of this COVID, the best that they can. You know, I use my kids' savings. I use everything. You know, I took advantage of the moratorium with not the mortgage in reference to paying my people, which means my debt kept going. I took the advantage of saying not pay B and G&E to make sure that my people kept getting paid, so the debt kept going. I did the same thing with Comcast, like so many other businesses. And now, you know, we've made it through this far, but here's the challenge that we have right now. All right. There has to be some concessions for these utilities and other things that we've grasped at this point in time. Our businesses have only, you know, we've lost 75 to 80%. That means we did 25 and 20% of our business. All right. If that, But, you know, these utility service companies, they're looking for 100% of their money. And I'm sure that they got,
Unless you're the Ritz-Carlton.
well, it's so many. Guess what? That's the only one that hit the surface.
Mhm.
It's so many of them. We don't even want to put that out. We're not going to talk about the dark. We're going to talk about the light. We want to talk about the light we need to have shining on our businesses. Okay.
So, Terence, let me ask you, can you stick around for a minute? I got a bit of a surprise for you.
You going to sing happy birthday to me because my birthday was about a week or two ago?
Happy birthday.
All right.
Happy birthday.
Hey.
No, you made your first million in New York City, right?
No, who said I got that? He lying, y'all. He lying.
Marsha, you used to work in New York City?
Yes.
Well,
I love New York.
I want to introduce you to Joshua Clennon, and he's running for city council in Harlem. What district, Joshua?
Good morning,
Yo, Peace,
everybody.
King, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm running in District 9, which is Central Harlem and part of East Harlem.
That's wonderful.
Awesome. Your first
Thank
time
you
running
guys
for
for having me.
office?
Yes, my first time running for elected office. I've been elected to party seats like New York County Committee, and I'm appointed member of Manhattan Community Board 10, where I serve as treasurer of the board.
So what made you decide to run for office?
Well, what made me decide to run is the fact that, you know, I have a lot of lived experiences growing up in our community, dealing with many of the issues that we're experiencing now in terms of affordable housing, in terms of, you know, education, healthcare, et cetera. And, you know, just my lived experiences and experience, you know, being on a community board, dealing with budgetary issues, dealing with land use issues, and working in affordable housing. I manage low-income housing cooperatives here in Harlem. So I really intricately have an understanding of the city's housing agenda and how it's failing our community specifically. And so I want to use all that experience to really create some systemic solutions to the issues and challenges that we face as a community, and really help our community move forward as we try to recover and climb out of this local, you know, economic recession due to COVID-19.
So what about gentrification? I lost my business due to gentrification in Harlem.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, gentrification has been an issue since, you know, I've been growing up. And, you know, in high school, I saw like half of my high school class in Harlem have to relocate from Harlem to the Bronx. And I just spoke at a tuition strike at Columbia University, because they've been one of the powers in our community that's really exacerbated gentrification. So just giving some more context for people who might not know, you know, about a decade ago, Columbia University, they utilized public policy, eminent domain, to take private and public space and expand their campus.
Right.
And doing so, they displaced hundreds of residents and small businesses in our community. And they have not truly invested in our working class communities in proportion to what they've taken away from us. So just the other day, I was standing in solidarity with students who were striking against Columbia University, asking that they, one, you know, reduce tuition like other universities, divest from fossil fuels, and really invest in the Harlem community. You know, when you look at the demographics of just students who attend Columbia University, it's not reflective of our community at all. So universities, institutions like Columbia University, who really have benefited from Harlem, they need to put back into our community.
Yeah, that's a big bite, right? Because they're not looking at that at all. We've got some of those same challenges here in Baltimore with Hopkins, between the university and the hospital.
That sounds like a Hopkins story.
I just said that. And so when you sit down and you look at Columbia, and so Columbia is between Broadway and is it Amsterdam?
Yes.
And so, but they're taking over as they start expanding. Now, where are they going? How far north? So we know it's like 120 something on down. What happens with that? How does that sprawl look?
Well, so they're expanding more north. So they're, this Columbia is really centered at around like 116th, 117th and Morningside. So they've been expanding north, incrementally over time. They really already have the rights to that land. So they're just slowly expanding their campus, building more real estate, et cetera. Columbia is one of the most wealthiest college institutions in the world. When it comes to higher education, it's all about real estate. Unfortunately. So I think we need to really have a hard look at our institutions, our higher education institutions, and make sure that they're not benefiting, they're not taking public funds and just really benefiting themselves as a real estate powerhouse. They should be, investing in our communities. They should be increasing access to education for people that live in our communities. I think we have to, really have a holistic, comprehensive approach to really reforming higher education in our country.
So you said something about the expansion and looking at what they are, how they're expanding, and what that real estate looks like. What would you have them do instead?
What would I have them do instead? I would have them stop the expansion because they don't need to expand anymore. They need to invest in creating affordable housing and some of that land that they have the rights to, so that working class people in the community can stay in the community. And it's also an issue for their students. A lot of students who go to Columbia University, they can't afford to live off campus. And, especially, people in our community, like kids who go away for college. I found that a lot of my friends, after graduating from college, they thought they were going to get these huge high-paying jobs, and that was not the reality, and they couldn't afford to move back into our community.
Right.
So I think we need to have some affordable housing for existing residents, for students, so that they can, even after graduating, they can live in the community and put some of that education that they got in our community to work for our community.
Mm-hmm. What about small businesses? How about a fund to support the small businesses, because the taxes and all the rents are so daggone high up there, and they keep increasing every time somebody thinks about it. Gail Brewer came out of that area, but what is she doing now? I know she's is she president of city council now, or?
Well, Gail Brewer is our Manhattan borough president,
Mm-hmm.
and she does a great job. She's everywhere, and I work with the borough president's office a lot of my role as community board, because it's under the purview of the borough president.
Mm-hmm.
One idea that I have for city council in terms of helping our small businesses is creating a public municipal banking system. And basically what that'll do is it'll give access to, for communities of color and small businesses in general, access to capital, when they can't get financing from traditional private lenders, which is a huge boon for our communities, because that's one of the biggest barriers that we face in the small business community, is just getting access to that capital so you can take business to the next level. And if you can get that, at low interest, 1 to 2% interest, that's amazing, right? Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, it's also a way for the city to start raising more revenue so that we can invest back into those communities and fund our social programs in the face of all these austerity budgets and cuts that we're seeing from COVID.
Donnie, what's the name of the organization that Walter and has, Walter and Regina? What's the name of that organization again?
Black Business Economic Commission.
Okay. So how involved are they?
I'm very involved. I'm a member. I attend their meetings on as frequently as possible on a weekly basis. They meet every week. So that's been a great resource for me in helping me develop my platform, etc. I know they've been doing a lot of advocacy, not just locally, but at a national level. So we're just trying to take that momentum and really push and lobby our elected officials hard and hold them accountable.
So has Carlton Brown, he's done a big development up on 116th. Is he still developing with Walter? Carlton Brown at 1500 on 1600 on 5th or something?
I'm not sure about that. I couldn't answer that.
Okay.
Terence, you had a question? Actually, Quebec did. Come on, Quebec.
Yeah, I had a question, if you don't mind, real quick. When you Joshua, when you were actually talking about the small business and getting the funding and everything for them, what are you doing in reference to really putting your hand on these businesses? Have you set up something to help them with their bottom line structure? Not only because, guess what, we have to meet that criteria for the financing. Just because the loan is there, one of the key things that I know we found in Baltimore that we've been working with TLC here, and I'd be glad to work with you if you need some help. Matter of fact, I'd like to chop it up with you later about it. But really to the point of teaching businesses how to be awesome. You know what I mean? And that's one of the key things. You know, I know, just as I was sharing before, that we normally start with a few bucks and a crazy dream, and it takes us 2 to 3 years to get acclimated. But when we've come up with a system here in Baltimore of where we can help these businesses get right coming out the gate. So that way you don't have that much exposure to a learning process that why do you got to get beat up to learn how to fight? Okay? You know, we kind of like put that brick in the hand so they can smack people around and get where they got to get to, because the main thing, and one of the things also, are you guys focusing on these businesses owning the bricks, and eliminating that sharecropping where they can own something?
Let me just throw this caveat in there. Brick and mortars are incredibly expensive right now. According to one expert I know who rents retail space, mall space, brick and mortar is
crazy.
Damn near impossible.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, that's the problem. That's why you should be looking at incubators with Columbia.
Right. Well, that's to that point. I think that's definitely everything you just spoke about, Terence, is definitely needed. We have some of those things in place, like we have organizations like Harlem Business Alliance, et cetera, who helps businesses really get things going on that level, and they do a great job of that in our community. I think we need more incubators in general, just to help develop more Black businesses. Only 2% of small businesses in New York City are Black owned, and I think that in itself is a problem. We have to help spur entrepreneurship and really get young people to start more businesses in our community. But in terms of I think the Black businesses that we have in our city, and I've helped organize a lot of procurement fairs and workshops to help our Black contractors and minority businesses apply for city contracts and tap into those markets. But a lot of our Black businesses, they really do have it together. They just need that opportunity. They just need they might need a partner to apply for a larger contract, because they don't have the capital to meet the requirements for that job. So I think access to capital is our biggest shortfall in terms of getting our businesses to the next level in New York City. A lot of times, if you don't have $1 million or $2 million in the bank, the city's not even going to give you the job, even though you might have the team, you might have the structure, you might have all of the experience in the world. If you don't have that capital in the bank, though, you're not going to get the deal. So I think just providing that access will do wonders. I think we have to constantly help develop more businesses in our community, because of course that's going to create more jobs in our community. And if we create more jobs, we have less violence, less gang activity, and as a community, we will thrive.
Joshua, One of the things that I think is really interesting is that during the time that I was here, and I had an art gallery at 124 and St. Nick, right? And it's now a dry cleaners. But every time I looked around, my rent was going up for that space. And so clearly they wanted me out of the way, and you could see the transition of the gentrification as they walk past my windows every day, right? How do you abate that? That's part of the challenge that I saw a lot of business. I'd only been there 5 minutes. Businesses been there 20, 30 years. Generational businesses went out of business because of that.
Well, the way that we abate that is with policy, really, and we need help from our state officials too. It has to be there's a lot of things we can do legislatively at the city council level, but we also need Albany to pass legislation to allow us to do those things. And one of those things that we've been talking about is there's one bill in the city council, such as the Small Business Job Survival Act. And basically what that law does is, if you are a small business and you're in a brick and mortar retail space and your landlord decides all of a sudden, well, I'm going to hike up the rent
Right.
100%, and I want you out of here. And basically, this law protects the small business owner and says, well, no, your landlord is not just going to be able to evict you. The landlord is going to have to go into arbitration with you. You're going to have to come to some sort of agreement or compromise so that you as a small business owner can stay in your space. So small businesses are not just, in 30 days you're kicked out of your spot and you gotta start your business all over again. That's what's happening a lot in New York City, and we have a lot of small businesses being displaced because landlords are trying to invite these commercial retail
Right.
big box businesses, like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. They're trying to invite these, but we don't really need that in our community. What we need is small businesses, because small businesses are really the ones who produce quality jobs for our community.
Right.
We don't need these big businesses who are just going to come in and give out minimum wages.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And I lived it. But I think the thing that was the most painful was looking at those generational businesses go out of business that have been there 20, 30. Their grandmother or grandfather, great grandfather owned that up on 100 and whatever street, and now they're all gone.
Absolutely. I've seen that too, and it breaks my heart. I can name just like a bunch of places that I miss, and I think that's really why we have to come together as a community and really fight, for equity in our community. We can't let our community be stripped away from us by foreign investors and all these developers who've never lived or stepped foot in our neighborhoods.
Okay, Terrence, unmute yourself, buddy. You had a question?
No.
See what we're dealing with here. Terrence, did you have a question?
Don't talk about me like that, Donnie.
I'm trying to bring
Don't do me like that.
He gonna throw you under the bus, brother.
I put my glasses on now. Don't do me like that, Donnie.
Okay, so Terrence, one of the challenges is keeping businesses in New York.
I tell you. You know what? I'm going to tell you what I made. Like you said, I made a lot of bread when I was in New York. It's a long time ago, and it's an awesome place. It's definitely where I became who I am today. I became a hunter. The key thing is what he's saying. It's that brick and mortar. I know that there are the things that are very hard for us to obtain, and especially in New York. But it's tough. The expense, The expense. It becomes that point that they gentrification. Everybody looks at gentrification. Some people look at gentrification like it's the color. It is the color. It's green. It's about the bread. So when you have communities that just don't have that finance to do it there, it has to do. But I mean, he's definitely on the right path, because a lot of things that he's talking about are the solutions that we have in TLC. Is that when you actually have to put 2 or 3 small businesses to get to that point that you can actually bid on larger contracts. And then you got to take it to another paradigm of where you have to find, a cooperative, a small business cooperative. I'm in conversation right now, finding a place of where you can get small businesses that can own a piece of the bricks. If you can't get your own brick, at least you own a piece of the bricks. And it breaks back to that conversation once again. FUBU, for us, by us. You know what I mean? That has to be the commitment for our community and those that we deal with. And like you say so much, unapologetically.
Yeah, and it's real. It's absolutely real. And I think you said it well, Terrence. We need to look at ourselves as a collective. And when we can sit down and buy a building together and so it becomes this huge incubator. I'm using incubator for lack of something else to call it. And you probably can, like a co-op building, where we can
That's what we're talking about.
Right. Small businesses and new business that can incubate and grow, where we now can buy more buildings to do that. So people can go to a collective and see everybody right there.
And you don't know what, and the greatest test sample is right here on 25th and St. Paul. I bought this building. I'm 5 or 6 blocks away from Johns Hopkins. For the first 5 years, nobody knew that a black man owned it. They kept sending the emails and wanted to see, but it was always this guy with locks and overall said that the owner was in Atlanta. Okay, moved
I
like a
love
ninja.
you. I love
Okay,
you.
but the great part about it was that as the community changed, I was able to set standards for our community. So guess
Mhm,
what? We've always had 5 Black businesses here. You know what I
mhm.
mean? I didn't ask for it. That's just how it happened. So it's a learned lesson. That guess what? When if somebody Chinese business opens up, everybody's in there Chinese. If a Greek business open up, everybody's Greek. Okay, why we have to open up more Black businesses so we really are accountable for our own community. This nonsense and waiting for somebody to come, that's the snake out. Just like they sat everybody down last year for what, 3 months? For what, 1,200 little stinky dollars? Okay, what was that, like $2 a day? I wish I could buy me some people for $2 a day. You see how I would take this world and run it. And that's exactly what they've done so far. I mean, we have to get to a new learned understanding and really quantify ourselves in our communities of our real value, social value. You know,
Absolutely.
when you look at Baltimore City and it dominates with just basically despair and nonprofits, guess what? When you look at those boards, baby, all right, them boards be just different
Right.
from what the community actually mirrors. Guess what? Yeah, you put somebody to handle the Black people that are Black, but how about on that board? How about if we got a real diversity? If out of 8 people, why is it? And you're talking about the Black agenda. Why isn't 7 of them or 8? Can't we handle it by ourselves? Yeah, I mean, these are the concepts in reference to, I think, that really empowers people and give hope. Because also what it does, it says to other people that don't look like us, hey, they handling their business.
Mhm.
Okay? If every time I hear somebody talking about Black and then the root of it is white, guess what that says? It sends out a statement. It says Black people cannot handle themselves. All right? That our ice ain't cold enough and our water ain't wet enough. And I know it's old, but guess what? People ain't listening. Because if we was listening, we'd be a hell of a lot better off than we are today. All right. And people aren't holding people accountable. Okay. Enough of this shuck and jive and moving people around and stuff of that nature. Let's see some action items for our community. As I said before, I had the opportunity to have a meeting with the White House with Trump's people. I didn't care who wrote the check for my community. I want to check for my community. So I do look forward to having a meeting with the Biden camp. Guess what? And I want to check for my community. I don't care who write the check. Write the damn check. All right, because we know that in reference to our community and our businesses, that's what's really going to change the narrative. No more kumbaya, all the marching. Write the check, get some action items. Let's start to heal and build. Okay.
Amen.
Thank you. So, Joshua, in looking at what you're up against now, what is your strategy and how can we be supportive?
Oh, well, thank you. So the biggest thing is right now we have to continue to fundraise. We have to continue to get the message out to people in our community to support our campaign and support our platform. My campaign is the only campaign really centered on addressing the housing crisis and small business crisis in our communities. So we, like Terence said, our campaign is solution driven. It's not about rhetoric or shucking and jiving. Like we're really about solution oriented practical policy to really address systemic issues that I've seen growing up in my community for years. I'm sick and tired of it. Just as many. I don't understand how we're in 2021 and we still facing the same
Having this
issues.
conversation.
I thought we'd have
Well,
flying cars or something. We still got the same old issues that
look
I
at
saw
this
as a
gray
kid.
hair, and we still got
Come on, baby. Hey,
So
Joshua.
I'm
That's
sick
it.
and tired of it. The people of Harlem are sick and tired of it. So we got to continue to push our message, get it out there to people, and also fundraise because to run campaigns is very expensive. We need to pay staff and equipment and all this stuff. So and we have to produce all this literature to get it out to people. So fundraising is a big aspect.
okay. Were you going to say, Terrence?
No, we're good. I'm saying he's right on point. One of the key
Mm-hmm.
things is that you definitely hit it on the head. It's going to be people over profit. I mean, that's what's going to really happen and what's going to drive the narrative of what we're doing today. Nothing else is going to change it. And it's not about, I don't want to say it's a hostile takeover, but it really is about a hostile kind of takeover that we're going to set a standard. And and we're not going to expect flaw. We want it.
Right.
Society has to meet that standard for Black people now. Okay.
And that's real.
Joshua, one of the questions I had for you has to deal with the future of Harlem. Do you see gentrification getting worse? Do you see more Black people being displaced? And if so, what can be done about it?
Well, if things continue as they are going right now, I see more people being displaced. I see my own family being displaced from Harlem, which is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this, and one of the reasons why I'm running for city council now. I think overall the city council is very influential because it controls land use for the city of New York. And the city has been, over the past 5 years, giving away a lot of public assets to for-profit developers at really no charge, and a lot of these assets can be given back to the community in the form of housing cooperatives, community land trusts, to give working class residents in our community real equity in our community, real stake, real generational wealth. And I think with the city council, we have an opportunity to do that. We have an opportunity to reform our entire land use process and really make it more community driven, so that when we're rezoning to address community needs and not the needs of developers and their investors.
And somebody else is getting paid by them, for real.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, real estate is the biggest industry in New York City, right? That's just a fact. And for so long, the city council has just been so beholden to the real estate lobby. And I know this because, I manage property. I know real estate. And I know the forces at work in the real estate industry and how they dupe these elected officials, because these elected officials don't really understand housing and just the industry of it. They just don't understand. So you might think that, okay, I'm going to build 100 units here and set aside 25% for affordable housing. You might think that's not a good deal, because these developers in their pro forma, they're planning to destabilize and convert to market rate at least half of those units that they're set aside for affordable housing. They're literally planning that from the inception. So it's like our elected officials, we're being bamboozled. We're getting into these deals that are not profitable for our community, that don't necessarily create jobs for our community, because they're not using unions. They're not giving the contracts to build to MWBEs in our community. So all of those things, we just need more stern negotiating for our community, and we need to make sure that any development that occurs in our community, we're benefiting from it, and we're giving equity to the people who live in the community.
Joshua, this may be an unfair question, but I gotta ask anyway. Who is Adam Clayton Powell to you? What does he mean to you?
Adam Clayton Powell is, to me, is a legend. He is, I think he's, whenever people think about the 13th congressional district, he is the person that everybody thinks of. He is Harlem's congressman. There's a lot of history and legacy behind Adam Clayton Powell, and I think, I think he really fought for Harlem when in a time where I don't think our community really knew how to fight for ourselves yet. So I know, towards the tail of his, career in Congress, it was very, it's filled with a lot of controversy. But for people here in Harlem who really, study politics and the history of our community, he will always be a legend.
You speak to something. Harlem is still known as the Mecca of Black America. Any thoughts on maintaining that cultural significance?
Absolutely. So I think one of the biggest things that we have to do is really reinvest in our art institutions. We used to be the center of, jazz, music, arts, culture. And we've kind of gotten away with that. We've kind of fallen off. So like we have opportunities to do, like right on 125th Street, We have spaces like Mart 125, which for over a decade now has just sitting there vacant. This is city-owned property. That could be a center for not only small businesses, but for subsidized space for artists, for teenagers to come in and record music, things of that nature. We need to put Harlem back on the map in terms of arts, culture, music. Like kind of like the way Atlanta is right now with hip hop, Harlem should be that for the Northeast Coast. And I think we have to really invest in our youth, give them opportunities to do that.
I'm glad you mentioned it. And this is my last question. I'll defer to the panel. There was a tragic beating of a woman in Harlem. She was going to get some food. And as you mentioned, the youth and providing our youth with something to do, it broke all of our hearts. And I know it broke Harlem's hearts. And I understand that Harlem came out and came to her where they tried to help in some kind in comprehensive ways. What's happening with us? The violence.
Well, yeah, I actually went to the rally this past Saturday. We marched. We rallied at 125th Street in front of Adam Clayton Powell State Office building, and we marched to the liquor store where that event happened, and really demanding on Black men to step up and hold each other accountable, protect our women in our community, because this young mother was totally assaulted, viciously assaulted by 3 young men in our community. And it's just, it's just unjustifiable. There's no excuse for it. And we really calling for anybody with information to step forward so these young men can be held accountable for their crimes, because it's it just can't happen. But I think, over the course of this entire pandemic, we've seen an increase in gun shootings in our community, violence in general. A lot of that has to do with, just people living, in dire conditions, living in poverty, experiencing so many different traumas and really not having it ever be addressed. I understand, because I grew up in the hood, and it's not easy. And there's a lot of temptations on the street, and it's very easy to, fall off that straight and narrow path. So I think we really have to, for one, we have to increase our mental health awareness and support for young people who grow up in these circumstances in housing projects, so that they can deal with their emotional trauma. I lost my father. My father was shot and killed when I was 2 years old. He was actually shot while he was holding me in his arms. So I'm not even supposed to be here. My mom had to pick me up, and she was checking me for bullet holes. And, that's not a unique story in our community, but a lot of kids, they never really unpack that trauma, and, they carry that rage their whole lives, and they end up committing unspeakable acts and crimes. So it's really something internally we have to really look at and address. We have to give mental health to kids in our community. We have to invest in our kids to give them opportunities so that they don't have to look towards the street to feed themselves or feed their families, that they can do it the right way. And then third, as Black men, we got to hold each other accountable for the culture that, we allow in our community. When we see men catcalling women on the street, chasing women down the street for their phone number, or cursing women, accosting them because, they declined your advances, that's unacceptable, and we got to check each other. And, I can't say, I've seen that happen and not said anything about it. I've seen it. I think any man in Harlem who's walked down 125th Street has seen that happen. And too often we walk away instead of saying, yo, man, don't talk to her like that. Like, what are you doing? Like, respect this woman, and also respect yourself. Like, as a Black man, you should not be talking and speaking to any woman like that. And I think if we don't do that, these actions, repeat themselves, and that reinforces this sort of misogynistic behavior, which results in greater acts of violence against women. So I think we really got to check it and nip it in the bud in those small interactions.
Charles, you have sons. We were just talking about the young lady in Harlem, the mother who was beat up going to the liquor store. What is it? It's easy to say lock them up. I get it. They did egregious. But what makes a young man 3, 4 attack a woman and beat her up over a drink?
You know what? That's that trauma in our community. We talk about it so much, and we never really work on it. It's the trauma. Our youth right now are lost. Okay, you figure not even before COVID, when you look at most of your urban cities, the condition and the blight. You know what I mean? And then you look at what's really pushed forward with media. All right, guess what? It's going to happen until we
Mhm.
change that narrative. And we're doing something right now. We started something working with Harbell, correct, Miss Tiffany? And we're getting brothers together, all right, in small groups, in spite of all, 10 people, and we're dealing with the trauma of being a black man. We're dealing with the trauma of being a black woman. We're dealing with the trauma of owning a business. We're finding those small tribes within a tribe that belong together, and we're going to solve these solutions. It's because when something happens in our community, guess what? Not only does it happen to the victim, but the actual family of the person that committed that, it affects them too.
Right.
Okay, it affects them too. See, just as you said, I heard you, Joshua. I heard you, and I mean, listen, you're definitely hitting me with the right things. You're making me pay attention because you're using the words that we need right now in our community, and a lot of it is healing. You said holistic at the beginning. That's one of the things that we definitely do is we're meeting our people where they are. Other people can't do that because they pack their kids up, they put their little laptop in their car, or they get on a train and they drive out, they ride out to the county and they go to the Whole Food and they go to the nerdy place and that's it. But yet we're still left to live and where we are in our communities. And that's how we have to find it. It has to be a healing of a whole community. All right. Like
Marsha,
you
you want
said,
to comment on it?
what drove those young men to do that? Okay.
Marsha, chime in. The healing, the trauma.
It's so pervasive. I've been talking to the folks over at the Black Mental Health Alliance, and one of the things that we're looking at, or they're looking at, is how we function not only in a normal environment, but particularly in the time of COVID. And here we have all of these people who they've lost their jobs, or they've lost their income or a contract. They're losing their homes. They're losing so many different things where it was already a problem because we don't get what is normally given to white people. Now you got to exacerbate all that because now we've got to worry about whether or not we're going to be ill. We got to worry about our family. We got to move in because we've lost where we're living. Now there's a whole nother piece of trauma that we're dealing with. We're not being educated properly, so we don't have the tools or the resources to do what we want to do. How do we bring all that together in a COVID environment? And that's part of the challenge. And unfortunately, we as a people of color, we don't, particularly Black people, we don't like going to see psychiatrists and talking to people about our mental health. We just try to deal with it and work through it and see how we're going to do. But that mental health is being impacted on how we behave out in the street. How you going to go to a woman that you see is doing this? Something is fundamentally wrong if you're going to beat a person down like that. Something is fundamentally,
Yes.
emotionally, and mentally wrong if you just want to walk down the street and shoot somebody, that you can't have a conversation. Baltimore has over 300 murders in 2020. What happened? What is going on that there's that much pain, there's that much hate that you can't control it verbally? The only way that you can deal with that is to remove that person off of the planet. That's a mental health and an emotional health issue. And we have to deal with that. You can't just lock people up. You have to deal with that problem is going on, and it's emotional, it's mental, and it's a physiological.
So I got to tell you, Joshua, New York is one of my favorite places in the world to visit. I come, I get rejuvenated, get back to Baltimore, I'm ready to grind. We've talked about the negative. We've talked about the housing, the gentrification, the violence, the mental health issues. Didn't even cover substance abuse. But we got to end on a bright note. Now, one of my question to you is, what's right with Parliament? And I'll say that what I appreciate about Harlem is just that black business environment. That when I look around, I see all of these black businesses, I get
There you
excited.
go, baby.
What's right with Harlem, Joshua?
I mean, Harlem is still the Mecca. You know, it's still a lot going on. Our people are still here thriving, doing our best, making it day by day. We still have a lot of, Melba's, Sylvia, some of the best soulful you can get in our country
Melba.
right here in Harlem.
What
So,
about Jacobs? You go to Jacobs?
yeah, I go to Jacobs, but
I love Jacobs. I'm a fan.
That ain't
I love
Melba's though. That ain't Melba.
it ain't Melba's though.
That ain't
It ain't
Melba though.
Melba's.
That's right. High
I
five, baby. That ain't Melba.
It ain't Melba's. But there's still so much going on in Harlem, and I'm excited. About the things to come in Harlem. Like we're getting a new studio museum in Harlem. It's being designed by the same architects who did the African American.
Wait a minute. What do you mean the new museum? Is it being?
So the Studio Museum of Harlem is totally been demolished and is being totally rebuilt from the ground up.
What?
No change in like ownership or anything like that. And the same architect, I forget, but it's a black architect who did the African American Museum in Washington D.C.
Yes.
He did the entire design. It's like totally, like I've seen it because I'm on a community board, so it's like totally beautiful. It's gonna have a lot of free community space for people just going. So I'm excited about that being developed. So there's still a lot of good things happening and on the rise in our community. It's just, I just want to make sure that our people are there to take advantage of it and to really enjoy it. We just got to make sure that our people are still there. But there's a lot of great things happening in Harlem.
Who's running the museum now?
I forgot. It's the same organization. I forgot the name of the executive director, but it's the same management,
Okay, nothing else has changed. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is a loaded question. In working with the Harlem Business Alliance, the Black Business Empowerment Commission, my question is this, Josh, and I'll leave it alone after this. Dude, you got celebrity power there in New York. You got celebrities that come out of Harlem. When are we going to pull them into the mix?
I mean, I want to pull them into the mix. I don't know where they are. They need to stop moving to LA and stay in New York. That's all I can say about that.
But it's changing so dramatically. That's part of the challenge. Right?
Everybody wants to move to LA, or they want to move to Soho, get a nice little loft, But I would encourage them to stay.
We got to create that in our community. You know what? We got to create that in our community. That's it's kind of like the same thing that you have in Baltimore here. Everybody running from the city that look like us, and then everybody don't look like us running to it, And then by the time we really wake up, it's too late. This is the time that you actually stand on your feet and you put your hooks down and you invest in our own communities,
Mm-hmm. John, how can we support you? And we have to have you back on the show. Thank you for joining us on a Monday morning. Give us your contact information.
Thank you, guys. You can follow me on social media on Instagram, Twitter at Joshua Clennon. You can also check out my website, www.joshuaclennon.com. There you can check out my platform, donate to our campaign, and just, get in contact. If you want to volunteer, you can sign up there. We're going to be doing a lot of groundwork over the next course of months. Our primary election is in June 22nd. So if you're in New York, please mark that on your calendar. And it's going to be a big election. Almost every city council seat in the city is going to be up for election.
Wow.
And we're also going to be electing a new mayor too. So it's a big, big, big election year. New Yorkers should not miss it at all.
How many challenges are you going against?
My race is a crowded race. I think almost every city council seat is open for election. There's a lot of challengers in every race. I think we've got about 10 or 11 other people. But
that's a lot of people.
So
yeah, about 10 or 11.
A lot of the computer things.
Huh?
I guess you'll be doing a lot of forums where you have to show up like this on the computer.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of forums, Zooms, but the groundwork is the most important work. Getting on the ground, really touching the people in the community. Even despite COVID, we got to do it in a socially distanced, safe way. But that's what really wins campaigns, and we plan on running a winning campaign.
Well,
I got a question with Joshua.
The Harlem Cycle, also to the Bark Shop, and also the Harlem Chocolate Factory. Those are three businesses that we've been following through COVID. 3 Black women who've been able to turn on a dime and adapt. I also got to tell you what's right with Harlem. Dude, I saw them dining in the street. I told Marsha about it. They were tell them, Joshua, they were dining in the street.
Yeah, they got these like little greenhouse igloo things. So because they've canceled indoor dining again, so businesses are really adapting very fast. They're doing whatever it takes to really keep their businesses going. It's amazing to see how our businesses are just surviving through all this adversity, and quite frankly, just bad planning from our city and inconsistent regulation. So, but it's good to see our businesses are still out there. They have like these greenhouse igloos, and it's comfortable. They got space heaters in there, so you can dine outdoors and still, even in a cold day like it has been this past weekend where it feels like 15 degrees outside. You can still go and enjoy a meal.
Okay.
We're proud of you, Joshua. Keep doing what you're doing.
Congratulations.
Make Adam Clayton Powell proud.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Nice meeting you. Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Marsha, powerful show.
Powerful show. Thank you.
So glad you know about Harlem.
I love Harlem. I'd still be there. I think we gotta get some CBD oil or something for this cat over here.
Who, me?
I don't know what that means.
Yo, I'm built like
this. Calm him down.
Oh, I move. I'm trying to stay still, Donnie. You know how hard it is to get a small business owner to stay still for an hour?
He's on a mission.
Spinning, walking around.
That's all right.
Man,
that's what he does. We love you.
I'm running 3 businesses
are.
right now at one time while I'm on this show.
We love you.
Look,
just
no
the way
hands,
you are.
with no hands.
We love you just the way you are. All right. I got to go.
I appreciate you. And I want to thank everybody for really having patience with me. This is not what I'm doing. This is not what I really do. You know what I mean? So humbly and thank
you, brother.
Huh?
Where you get the hood?
Yo. This is from the Borough running organizations, Black Runners Organization. Cool. These brothers are out at Druid Hill. You see them through town. They've been real heavy with the kids over at Dunbar. Baba Issa over there. He's always, these are the champions that we need to have downtown.
All right.
The people that don't have their hand on the post, but the people that are controlling the post of where this city needs to go.
Good deal.
All right.
And a powerful show. Do catch us on Clubhouse. You can catch me on Twitter and
Clubhouse.
You ain't been on Clubhouse yet?
I've been on there. I want to go on Clubhouse.
Clubhouse is like a 12-step meeting.
For me, yo, listen, I put it, all right, I'm going to tell the truth. I put it on and put it in my pocket and walk around. I just want to hear you. I don't got to look at you to keep me encouraged. You feel me?
Well, the only thing
and the great thing is, guess what? A lot of like-minded, brilliant people that understand that, guess what? A new world order is here, and everybody is included. That's the great part about it. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody is included.
You got any kale salad over there, brother?
Huh? I got you.
You got that kale salad? You don't know about the kale salad, Marsha.
I don't eat kale.
Marsha, you got to come get some kale salad.
I don't eat kale.
Do you drink mojitos?
No.
In 2 weeks, you can come get mojitos.
I don't drink mojitos.
The Jerk Garden will be open up. Everybody in the back. Under COVID standards, we're still going to be able to get about 100 people in there.
Wow.
But we ain't going there.
It's big.
Right. The mayor it's big.
Did you see it?
Congratulations.
Did you see an increase in business?
When?
I got to go, guys.
Bye.
Love y'all.
Friday.
Friday,
Nah.
the mayor reopened the city of Baltimore.
No, you want to know what, Donnie? I'm gonna tell you what. I took a ride around and look at what was going on in Baltimore, and you know what? It's not right, because basically you can't function off 25% of business. You can't, in hospitality, you can't function off 50% of business.
But
we
then
have to get to the point that we have solutions
But
to
I
give
thought
us
you supported it.
access. Huh?
I thought you supported that effort.
No, what I supported is support the small business. Don't get on here and trying to twist me around, Donnie. All right, numbers are what the numbers are. Okay, and
Well,
we
Bob
already
still kept
discussed.
us straight.
You gonna let me finish? You open it up. Let me finish. The numbers are what the numbers are, and we close at that time. But I'm saying it's a lot of brilliant people here in the city. We have to find out a way where we can keep everybody safe, but put these businesses in a position where it's maximum extraction. Because anything other than that, you're just really killing us, because that debt that we're grabbing is just going to keep growing.
Good deal. Looks like we lost them. Okay.
Here.
Okay.
Can you see me?
Yes.
I don't see me. Can
okay.
you?
We see you loud and clear. Yeah. We're going to sign off. Right. And the next time we come back, we want you to sit still.
I will. I'm going to lock the door. I ain't going to let nobody talk to me. I ain't going to look at nobody or nothing.
No, I can't stop you. You got to hustle, brother. I get it.
Yeah, thank you, man. And like I said, thank you again, man. I appreciate what you're doing for our community and bringing this platform forward where everybody can actually get some autonomy of what's really going on.
Well, thank you for supporting Black media. Up to date down tomorrow. Do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it, regardless of how I feel. I am somebody.
Somebody.
I am, my brother. Good morning, Baltimore.
Boom. Yes, sir. Good morning.